A warm welcome to this information session for the 2023 Asialink Leaders Program. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land I'm on today, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining online today. Please do be aware that this session will be recorded. My name is Catherine Mufford. I'm Director of Capability Development at Asialink Business, Australia's National Centre for Asia Capability. With the federal government mandate and as part of the broader Asialink Group, Asialink Business creates connections, shares insights and develops the capabilities that build business ties between Australia and Asia. And for the last 27 years, the Asialink Leaders Program has been helping leaders across sectors build those capabilities, the deeper connection between Australia and Asia, and with some incredible outcomes, individuals, organisations and our nation. So we're delighted to be able to share a little bit more about the program with you today. Over the next 30 minutes, we'll do three things. Firstly, Lee Howard, CEO for Asialink Business, will explore why Asia capability matters. Secondly, our Program Director, Charlotte Oberg, will share how the Asialink Leaders Program helps organisations build Asia capability. And finally, you'll meet two program participants. You will hear from one of our newest leaders, Harper Gill, who's the Manager of Global Education at Study Tasmania and part of our 2022 Leaders Program. And you'll also hear from Anthony Matters, who's the General Manager of Strategic Engagement and Development at CAANZ and an alumni of our 2020 program. Throughout our session, you're welcome to ask questions. You'll notice the Q&A button at the bottom of the screen. So please just pop the questions in as you have them, and we've got time at the end of this session to move into discussion and respond to those. And so with that, I would like to hand to Lee Howard, Chief Executive for Asialink Business.
Great. Thank you so much, Catherine, and hello to everyone joining us today. And let me extend my own very warm welcome to all of you joining today's session. I wanted to take a few minutes at the start of our time together to highlight the current and, could I say, heightened context, which is the backdrop against which our Asialink Leaders Program takes place. And that's because we're at a crucial point in time for Australia and its position in the Asia region. We have a new government, which has put a new federal government, which has put Asian engagement front and centre of its policy agenda. We only have to look at the speeches given and the visits to the region by the Prime Minister, Foreign Minister and other members of Cabinet to see this focus on Asia on full display. This was driven home when the Prime Minister recently stated, "We find ourselves at the fastest growing region of the world in human history. There are enormous opportunities for Australia. I'm very optimistic about the future, but we need to seize those opportunities." Now, I share the Prime Minister's enthusiasm for our region's exciting prospects, but I also note he calls out that the onus is on each of us to seize these opportunities. This message resonates very strongly with us here at Asialink. It's particularly aligned with our mission to create an Asia-capable Australia, and why we see cultivating leaders as an essential component of Australia realising its full potential in the region. Let's take a step back and remind ourselves of what is at stake. Asia will deliver nearly 2/3 of global growth to 2030. This will occur against a backdrop of post-pandemic recovery, technological disruption, and geopolitical uncertainty, all of which are colliding to shake Australia's economic foundations and our relationships in the region. Turning these vulnerabilities into opportunities is critical to securing Australia's economic prosperity and standing in the region. Strengthening Australia's Asia capabilities is increasingly vital not only to capitalise on the Asia opportunity, but to remain competitive in a region attracting more global attention. We're clearly not the only country aware of Asia's explosive growth, and we should therefore expect a dramatic increase in competition in these burgeoning markets. A key point I want to make to all of you today is that this isn't just the domain of senior political, diplomats and business leaders. Nor should Australia's relationship with the region be viewed in just diplomatic, security or economic terms. The full extent of our relationship and our potential relationship comprises a diverse web of connections across a multitude of organisations and people. all contributing to the strength and vitality of our engagement with the region. In this way, each of you have an important role to play in helping Australia navigate its way through an increasingly complex, turbulent, yet rewarding set of circumstances. You do this as leaders, showcasing the depth and diversity of talent our country has to offer. This is what the Asialink Leaders Program offers, and we can look at the benefits of getting this right in 3 ways. First, it means professionals such as you and your colleagues are empowered to develop and succeed. Second, our organisations are better positioned to forge new opportunities in new markets. And third, Australia is better able to put its best foot forward, no matter the circumstances we encounter as a nation. What we've learned by working with successive cohorts of participants in our Asialink Leaders Program is to never underestimate the role a relatively few committed individuals can play in inspiring change. Change that can lead to new opportunities for engagement with our neighbours in the region that will help define our collective future. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us today. It's fantastic to have you online. And I'd now like to hand over to my colleague Lotta, who will share more information with you about our flagship Asialink Leaders Program.
Thank you, Lee, and wonderful to be with you all here on this call today and listening in later to share with you how we develop vital Asia capability through the Asialink Leaders Program, our flagship program. We have in fact been doing this for 27 years, and it is my pleasure to share with you a bit about how and a bit about what, and bring you, I hope, a flavor of the experience together with our leaders and alumni joining us on the call today. So if you or someone that you know are interested in joining us in 2023, you would in fact be joining the 28th cohort of Asialink leaders. You would meet around 50 Asia engaged peers, and you would join together in a program journey to develop the insights, the capabilities, and the connections that set you up for success, engaging with Asia, or in Asia, in this time, as Lee has pointed out, of change and renewed energy. So you would emerge out of this program as part of our strong alumni network, many of whom are leading Asia engagement in their fields, and as you just heard, often inspire and lead change, positive change in that relationship. So that is what we aim to achieve through the Asialink Leaders Program. And as program director, and having the privilege of working with successive cohorts, what we see is that the value actually lies on 3 levels. One is the network, the connections that you forge with the people you're learning with and the people you're learning from. 2 is the content, which is of course the curated program that you would take part in. And 3 is something that leaders bring, which is their workplace project, their focus for the insights that they want to take back to their work, their organizations, and their sectors. And I will now proceed to share a little bit about each. And who might you be learning with this year? Well, if you're joining us, that's exactly what we're putting together. And we're hoping that some of you on the call might come along to the new cohort. But what I'm showing you here, of course, since it's in creation mode right now, is some of our 2022 Asialink leaders, in fact, 8 out of the 50. And we hope that just by showing you the snapshot, what you get is just a sense of the caliber and the diversity of the cohorts that we put together. That is very intentional because therein lies much of the value. We strive for balance of different sectors in this program. We have a range from very established leaders like CEO and director to emerging leaders. We want people to come together and share their insights, and they do, as well as to develop their learnings together across the different perspectives. That's the cross-pollination that really informs an Asia capability that's broader than just the one you can gain in your field. Now, most of these leaders are based in Australia, possibly with responsibility for their organization's Asia footprint, expertise in a particular market, perhaps looking to explore and expand that. Some of the leaders are joining us from in-region and from regional and rural Australia, and that's been made possible by our virtual hub that's been going on since 2020 and is growing exponentially. And this learning modality, as you can see, offers access to the program. Currently, we have people from 5 countries in Asia and 5 states in Australia. We'll see what the new year will bring. But what this allows people to do is, of course, to come together in a way that suits their geography and their time commitments. So this cohort is for people in the region and regional Australia. And the intention that everyone brings is what people have in common. That's the common thread. Want to deepen and widen their perspectives on Australia-Asia engagement. What's different is everyone's starting points, and it is our pleasure to bring people together around a joint understanding. The what of the program, let me get all practical for a moment. The nuts and bolts of accessing the content that I'm also about to share. The program journey 2023 looks as what you've got right in front of you. It happens over 8 months, over 10.5 days to be precise, and it brings leaders together. Now, this program journey is for what we call the physical hub, the face-to-face cohort, which accesses this program both in person and online. There's a separate or distinct but very similar program journey that is for the virtual hub, which we can share with you offline if you're interested. But here you can see how we come together at various points. So it's really 3 points where the cohort gets together in person as a big cohort. That is in Foundation Week in Melbourne, an immersion in Canberra, that's the centerpiece of the program on the federal relationship that Australia has with Asia, and in Sydney, in fact, for graduation at the end of the year, when it's really over to the leaders to share what they've taken out. In between, we have intersessions on key topics, and the red thread that you can see in front of you, that is what leaders themselves bring in. Their workplace project starts with an idea of what they'd like to achieve, and then gets supported and polished through a series of group coaching, as well as support from us, the Leaders Program team. So in terms of the actual journey, this, of course, shows you how that flows. But what it doesn't show you is what happens for leaders. And the most common thing we hear, just to give you a flavor, is I turned up ready to learn about Asia. And I did. I learned about Asia and Australia's engagement with Asia. But I came away with something additional, which is I saw things anew. People will call it transformational or a new perspective on the region and issues that impact our relationship. And that is really what we strive to do. We are very intentional about how we bring content together for you, and it's organized around key themes. You can now see a preview of the key themes for 2023. And of course, we curate the content around not only the key issues of our time, but also what we see emerging in the future. In terms of who brings these insights to you, we are very fortunate as a National Center for Asia Capability to be able to bring not only subject matter experts who study this field and write and speak on this field, but people who actually lead the nation, their organizations, their sectors in the engagement with Asia. So you learn from people who do, not just from people who know. And you can see quotes from our current kind leaders there about their experience of the faculty that they get to encounter. And I'm going to again give you a flavor of some, in fact, 10 of the 60 or so speakers you may meet by showing you 10 of the speakers in our Canberra summit that we had in August, this year. What you're seeing in front of you is, of course, a range of people. We see leaders from the diplomatic, from politics, from policy. You would hear from captains of industry. You'd hear from trailblazers and innovators, small business people. You'll hear from leaders in the creative industries, in arts, leaders in sustainability, in community engagement. Again, the intentional diversity of perspectives is what we are creating when we are bringing these voices in to speak to you. But as you see, it's not about to you, but also with you. So we also create opportunities for leaders to engage directly with the speakers, which is, of course, highly valued. And in fact, we might hear of one of these opportunities that you're seeing on the screen when we move to speaking with our wonderful leader who is on the call today. So in terms of what you're learning, this will give you some flavor and feel for what that is. And of course, we have detailed agendas and learning plans and workshops when you come into the program to share with you. We also wanted to take 1 minute just to share with you the work that leaders do throughout the program. We've talked about the workplace project. We've said it's a red thread. We said it's a mechanism for getting insights and value out of the program back into your organization. what it really is. It's something that leaders and or their organizations nominate as an area of focus, an Asia-focused project. And that project can have an output at the end of the year that could be as varied as 7 of these that I'm showing in front of you right now. And of course, with 1,009 leaders, alumni, and counting, we have as many workplace projects, all adding up to positive change with the region. But what we have here is just a selection, and maybe one of the more famous ones by virtue of our 2017 alumni, Tim Watts, who is now Assistant Minister for Foreign Affairs, is what he did, which was a book about Australia's multicultural identity and what that means as an asset and a promise for our engagement with the region at the time when we're in. That is a very unusual workplace project, and you see some of the more usual ones here. Now, I hope this has given you a flavor for what we do in the program, with whom and how. But really, who can better tell you about this experience than someone who's experiencing it right now? And I'm really pleased to be inviting to join us here our 2022 Asialink leader, Harper Gill. And Harper, a warm welcome to you. You are Global Education Manager at the Tasmanian Government's Department of State Growth and a valued member of our virtual hub. How are you today?
Thank you, Lotta. Very well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Normally you're in Tasmania. And of course, today you're joining us virtually here as you used to. And you come to us with a lot of experience from the region. Just really wanted to start you off for a couple of minutes sharing, why did you want to join the Asialink Leaders Program?
Sure. So every year I look at what I want to do in terms of professional development. And I came across the Asialink program on LinkedIn. And Asia, like you said, I was born there. It's close to my heart. I have a good understanding, but you never know enough about Asia. And I thought this would be an excellent opportunity to learn about Asia in new ways and really meet people who are doing amazing things in the region, and really open my mind to other opportunities where I can use my, I guess, abilities and skills in the region. So I thought, well, let's give it a go.
And so we're very pleased that you did. And I guess you have also done this incredible journey in terms of you joining us in the virtual hub, which is what suits you in your role and where you're placed. But you've also taken up the opportunity, which is available for people in the virtual hub, to join us in person with an add-on sort of component. So I guess I wanted to invite you a little bit to talk about what's your experience in the virtual hub, what makes it a valuable experience, and then potentially also to share with us what you did in the Canberra Summit.
Sure. I probably wouldn't be able to have joined the program if not for the virtual hub component, just given workload and travel and all of that. So I think the virtual hub was a bit of a saving thing for me. I was like, okay, this is good. I can at least join the program. And I knew from the start that I would carve out the Canberra chunk and make plans around it because face-to-face engagement is important as well. With the virtual hub, I mean, we're really fortunate because we have a group of people, like you said, from different countries in Asia and different regions and different parts of Australia. Some are in rural Northern Territory or Western Australia. And I guess we have exposure to more people in the virtual hub, and it's really well facilitated, which is what surprised me because we all have done enough Zoom calls and different virtual events over the last 2.5 years. And really early on, we had quite a few icebreaker activities that really built a bit of a bond. And I'm a strong believer that you get as much as you put into the virtual hub. So the more active you are, the more you get out of it. And yeah, it's really served my benefit to be able to do that and then have the opportunity to engage with the rest of the cohort face to face.
Fantastic to hear. And I'm noting how you're taking away the insights, but you're also taking away the network. And it's that thing that you're putting that in and engaging that allows you to bring that back.
Yeah.
And so I guess, in terms of having gone through most of the program at this stage, you're really well placed, I think, just to share the experience and one of the insights that you might be taking away.
Sure. I mean, I think for me, Foundation Week was really, really important. I think just getting a snapshot of all those countries by expert in such a concentrated manner. I don't think you would ever have that opportunity unless you're reading, books after books and articles after articles to get that snapshot. So that was really eye-opening, but really important to set the scene for me. But obviously the Canberra Summit, that's the pinnacle for me. I mean, the type of people that we got to meet, from ambassadors to court representatives to ministers and public servants working in the international space, and really understanding the federal approach with this was really important, because I work in a state government, so we have a bit of our own view on things, and to see a federal perspective. I think this year we're quite lucky as well that we were in Canberra at a time where Asia is front of mind. So the caliber of people that we got speaking about Asian engagement, that was really, really good. It was a big takeaway for me there, and not to mention the network. So not just my colleagues or peers in the group, but the alumni that we got to meet throughout the program. Some of them I do reach out to from time to time, and they're very generous with their time. And Anthony is here. I'm sure he's as generous as the others. So yeah, I think the network's really important.
Oh, that's wonderful to hear, Harper. And that is perfect segue to ask our alumni to join us. So thank you very much for sharing those reflections with the people on the call today, and look forward to seeing you soon for graduation. Thanks again.
Greta.
And it is my pleasure now then to invite Anthony Mattis, who is our 2020 Asialink leader. And Anthony is General Manager of Strategic Engagement and Development for Chartered Accountants Australia, New Zealand. And Anthony, you have joined us in the Asialink Leaders Program with so much experience working in and with region. And you have 2 years of benefit of hindsight to talk about the program. Where do you see the value today of the Asialink Leaders Program?
Thanks very much, Lotta, and greetings, everybody. I'd like to just sort of pick up on Harpreet's comment she made about her origins and never knowing enough. And even though having worked across, Hong Kong, Macau, Malaysia, and Singapore almost for 10 years, at first I thought, what could Asialink offer me? And it wasn't until I actually took the steps into the program that I realized it could offer me plenty. And it's those top-up moments, it's the networks, it's the reach, it's the content, it's the sum of all the bits that make the program highly attractive. And for someone that's really busy and often would put my colleagues through the Asialink program, I was probably one of the last few at the time. And the only regret I had, Lotta, was I wish I'd done it sooner.
That's good to hear. And it's also great, that you have had that experience of seeing people go on the program and that you continue to do that. And I guess that's where my next question is. From the organizational point of view, CEANZ continues to send leaders on the program from within and also from your client base. Tell us about that. What makes you continue to do that year on year?
I think would be not very clever if we didn't continue to just support and participate. We are a global profession. We are a global body. And I think it's important that not just my colleagues, but specifically and selfishly my team, understand the language and the nuances and the culture. And you can't always get that. And I think the blend of the cohort that this program attracts, from government to big business to small operators to entrepreneurs to exporters, importers. Like I said, there is so much learning to be done, not just in the program, but in and around the program through their extracurricular activities and obviously the informal and formal networking opportunities that present themselves too.
Fantastic to hear. As someone who's gone through the program, what is your recommendations for an organization or an individual that is currently considering the program, which is, of course, a lot of the people that are joining us today?
This is not an original statement, but I'll just say, just do it. It's never the right time. There's always going to be competing priorities with work and personal, particularly in the world in which we live now. And I just think that the sooner you sort of make the decision to do it, the better experience for that onboarding. And again, Lotta, to you and your team, that you make us number one in your priorities, and that's sort of sensed every time that we interact with you. So you obviously, you and your colleagues in the Asialink organisation respect our time. You make the most of that time each and every occasion that you engage us through the program. But like I said, I just think it's a case of just do it. but also be present. Don't just physically be there, invest in it, and you'll reap the rewards, not just through the 12 months, but for the years that follow. And I'm really proud to be part of the alumni, or be an active alumni.
Thank you so much, Anthony. And you've said before, I think, that you go through the program journey. We think of it as a year, even though it's a little bit more condensed, but it doesn't actually stop there, is what you've shared with me, and so many alumni have too. In what ways does it sort of live on for you?
I think the opportunities to participate, again, Harper talked about the summit in Canberra, and again, I was extremely grateful for that opportunity, having fallen into that window when COVID first broke, and that really heightened my senses on a range of fronts. But equally, when I'm working with my colleagues and working with my stakeholders, having a deeper insight, I think gives you greater authenticity and greater relevance.
Great. It's wonderful to continue to engage with our alumni cohort, and with you especially, Anthony. Thank you so much for joining us again. And thank you to all of the people who have turned up or tuned in to learn more about the Asialink Leaders Program. We are going to move now to Q&A in a moment. And when we do that, we're going to stop the recording, and we're going to allow people who wanted to come off mute and on camera to engage with us. But if you are tuning in after the fact, what we want to do is, of course, leave you with where to next. And here is what we, of course, would love you to be aware of and to engage with us around. We hope that this has sparked your interest, or perhaps given you more to think about around the Asialink Leaders Program, and we'd love to continue the conversation. For those who feel like this was the last bit they needed before applying, please go on our website. This appears in the chat regularly, and you can in fact apply. The program is now open for applications. We also invite you to engage with us. So please feel free to get in touch with Claire Stevens, who is Associate Director of Strategic Growth, Riva Badwar, Emma Wallace, or myself. You got our contact details there. We're always here. We're always excited to hear from people who might become our future Asialink leaders. So with that, do feel free to reach out. We hope today has been useful. We thank you for your time. And again, thank you for those who joined us to contribute and to contribute to your understanding of the program. So we'll stop the recording there. All the best, everyone.